Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Shop Stool podcast. This is season 8, episode number 7. It's just the three of us again today, and we've got a few things to talk about today. Brian, Joey, how you going?
Pretty
That was
good.
me saying hello. Sorry, that was a bit of a random intro. I'll put my hand up and claim that was different.
We are here. Hello.
I actually, that's
Brian,
probably
Joey, how you going? What's the capital of Brazil? Yeah.
Actually, that was probably a good intro that has subconsciously come from the fact that apparently last week's episode, we've been told there was some audio missing towards the end, which I apologize for. I didn't actually pick up on that. If those things ever happen, do just let us know, and then we can, if it's really major, we can fix it up.
Well, we'll just say sorry and move on.
Or we can do that. Yeah, that's the easier option. So yeah, Joey, what's going on?
So I've got a few things happening in my life. You ever buy something and not know exactly how much it's going to cost, and then when the thing comes, because you kind of forgot about it, that you're going to find some money?
That's not something I've done before. I think there was didn't our parents teach us that when we were like 5 to like things cost money and.
Right.
Come on, to save up.
Confession
Yeah.
corner. What have you bought?
So, well, I mean, it's so mundane, but
I know exactly what it's connected to. Exactly.
It's not to do with skateboards.
Oh, okay. Sure, with skateboards.
That's a whole different thing. So I'm about to start a pretty cool kitchen, and the island is like, I think I briefly talked about this. But it's a 3.6 or 3.8 meter long island by 1,300, and it's all oak, and it's sitting on, imagine, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like a centipede. It's got like 14 legs, and all the legs are like 40 by 40 square oak. And where the toe kick would be, instead of 150 mil toe kick with a board, it's 230 mil tall, and you can just crawl underneath the island if you want. It's like kind of a table.
So sorry, there's no toe kick, but there's a 230 mil gap.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And so the legs go down, and there's lots of legs with lots of drawer boxes between all the legs. So it's lots of like squares with legs. So there's 14 legs, and it's a pretty big island, and it's going in an old place, and it's going to have a stone top, and I need to get this thing level. And someone would probably say scribe the legs and cut them up to fit. I can't see an actual way that you can do that. Because the whole thing has to be put together. Then you could like shim it up, and you could scribe each leg, right? And then what do you take it all apart and cut it? I mean, that seems
a lot of legs,
like a nightmare to do that. So I hunted down all over the internet. You can find a tiny little 12 mil diameter steel leg that you drill a hole inside of a piece of furniture leg, and you can wind the foot up and down. You got like 25 mil of travel on these little things. And it has a little hole you drill in the side of the leg, so you can just put a screwdriver in and wind each leg up.
So not like a nut or a bolt that you tighten. No. Okay, yeah, gotcha.
So it has like a 5 mil hole in the side of the leg at whatever height. Yeah, it's like a worm screw type thing. And these things, there's only like 3 companies that make them. They make them sporadically. They're available in Europe, in the EU, and like the Czech Republic, and could not manage to get anyone to ship them to me. They're like $1 or €150 each or something. And it's like super affordable.
And sorry to interrupt again, so I can. So are these things that they use sometimes on the inside of cabinets for leveling, as leveling feet?
How they use them in Europe.
I'm sure I've seen that, and when I remember seeing it on Instagram, and it was like a Polish
Yeah.
thing. And I thought, that's amazing. Why don't we have that here in Australia? Okay, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And so and they're made to go straight into the edge of 16 or 18 mil cabinetry.
That's the one. Yeah.
And it seems that in Europe, they don't put feet on anything. They just put the box straight on the ground. And then, of course, they've got wobbly ground. And so you have these little legs. So they're pretty cheap and affordable, and they do the thing. So long story short, my local supplier, Fit, who I've been using for forever, they happen to know the manufacturer. The manufacturer I kind of emailed, and they said, hey, we know this guy in New Zealand, this company, get a hold of them and we'll sell to them, but we won't sell to you directly because blah, blah, contract stuff. So I got on the phone with the CEO of Fit like some weeks ago and was like, I need like 30 of these things. And he's like, oh, well, we'd have to buy a whole box in. It's like 250 of them. And I was like, well, can I just, whatever, I'll get a few. I said, oh, look, if I have to buy the box, I buy the box, but I just want like 30 or 50 of these things. And he's like, well, how much they cost? And I told him what they cost in euros. And he's like, okay, well, it'll be a bit more than that because by the time they get here and all that, blah, 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 blah. So I just got a phone call before. They've arrived. They're here. They're expecting I buy the whole box. And they're like $8 each.
Wow. Just a bit more.
And so I'm like, it's like a $2,000 bill that I wasn't expecting.
Oh, shit.
And so I was like, I'm going to have these awesome adjustable legs. So if anybody wants some awesome adjustable legs,
yeah,
hit me up, and I'll sell you these awesome things for $8 a pop, and I can split the cost.
$10 a pop? Did you say, Joey?
Yeah, $20 a pop. And
you can become the new Kiwi reseller.
I will use them a lot. I think.
Right.
And things like vanity legs. Even furniture, like tables, like a tiny little adjustable leg.
It does sound
you can put it anywhere. And they've got crazy loadings, like 100 kilos or more each, 150 kilos or something each. So
when you're saying, Joe, it's going into like cabinetry, like 16 mil carcass or something like that. What diameter is the foot on it that contacts the ground?
They have two sizes. They've got one that has a square 16 by 16 plate with a little rubber foot.
Yep.
And the other one is an 18 mil round foot. And I think I got the 18 mil rounds. Yeah.
That's cool.
And unexpected bill.
Sorry, but how does... Maybe it's just because I've never worked in this space, but how do you agree to something without the price?
Because these are good guys and I've known them a lot. And whenever I talk to the boss of this company, he's always really interested in my feedback on products or other things that they're doing. And we talked about these feet for like 5 minutes of a 40-minute conversation about all this other stuff. And then we're just kind of like, okay, great. I'll get it ordered. See you later. Bye. And then I was like, I don't actually remember what I agreed to, but he said something's coming. So I'll just wait and see what happens.
Because when I order timber from a supplier, I don't pay over the phone, right? So they got to ship it up from down south. They give me a call and say, your timber's ready. I then go in and pay. I could just not go in and not pay. I could just walk away from it, but there's no obligation on me to then pay for that.
No, I don't have to pay for it. But I mean, and they could sell these things, but
okay, all right. So it's not some contractual. It's now the invoice is waiting for you, and you have to pay. Otherwise,
no, I could say no thanks. But they did a special order. They put a rush on it at the Italian factory to get them on a special air flight to have it here for me this month. And it's like, okay, I'm not going to be a dick about it. I need the things. I just
sure.
wasn't expecting to pay that much considering I've got no money, so it doesn't help. Yeah. And to follow that up, my panel saw has been just perfect for exactly 10 years.
The warranty
And
period.
warranty period's only like 6 months or something.
Right. Okay.
And now the electrical box, the starter is gone, and it starts. If you really hold your tongue the right way, it might start. So I just got a quote back for the new electrical box, which has got to come from Austria in 7 weeks, and that's $1,000. So
what is it doing? Well, what is it supposed to do?
Sorry, did you just say $7,000 for the electrical box?
1,000.
1,000. Sorry, you broke up. I was like, are you having a coronary here? 1,000.
No, $7,000 I'll buy a new saw.
Yeah.
So the starter is, because it's most electric motors, but my one is a 3-phase, and so I think it matters a bit more. Where you have an initial starting phase where the motor has 2 stages, so you've got to get the blade spinning, and then it kicks into high gear. And
because of the torque,
so the starter part works, but then when it switches over, there's a solenoid or some bollocks that switches from start mode to run mode, and the run mode won't kick in every time. And we can find the actual individual part, but Felder won't sell the actual part. They want to sell the whole box with the brains and everything in it as well. So that's why it costs what it costs. But it's a pain. It's a pain in the butt when suddenly you got to spend money.
Everything goes wrong.
It's the same.
Although I think the way I thought you were going to say is that something's gone wrong with the machine itself. I guess it's better that it's going to be your electrics as opposed to like the mechanics of it, because that would be even worse.
What are you going to say, Brian?
I was going to say the paddle on my saw stop switch bent, so it wasn't engaging the micro switch properly to be able to turn it on and off. And I tried to MacGyver something, and it worked for about a year, and I was like, oh, I've just got to get this fixed. And the same thing, I wanted to replace one bit of plastic, like that size. And I think it was maybe $480 or something. And the whole switch assembly has to be, despite the fact that I can take it apart and I can get that paddle off, there's nothing I can do. So I did have a bit of a think about 3D printing it at one stage. And I'm like, nah, come on, stop being janky, just pay the money. So, sometimes you just got to do it.
Yeah, you got to do it. So along with that island, I've bought these fancy adjustable feet with. There's 23 wooden drawer boxes in this kitchen, and I have just started processing all my timber to try and start getting all the sides and fronts, and I've been ripping everything on.
All solid timber, Joe?
All oak, yeah.
Whoa, this is an expensive kitchen.
Yeah. The bottom panels.
Did you design it, or was it designed?
The owner had a really good idea of what he wanted and gave me some really nice sketches. And then I just redrew it in a way that was makeable and made sense. That's awesome when you get... My client actually gave me like this PowerPoint presentation. It was like 20 pages long, and it had just reference pictures and arrows. We want this, but not this. And this is what it should look like. And this bit should have this. And so I pretty much just took the notes and drew a model, and he said, yep, how much was it going to be? I said, this much. He said, good, start. So
the dream.
Yes, it's just a lot of work, actually. I forgot how much work's involved in all the drawers, and I'm just starting to... My plan was always to finger joint all the drawers, and I'm now wondering, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I might dovetail everything, but I'm not sure.
Why not any plywood? Was it
there's plywood bottom panels.
Oh, okay, right. So it's not like he's got something against using engineered timber. Okay.
No, but he wanted that joinery. Oh, so there's no fronts on these drawers. So the whole island has got like empty boxes, and then the drawers sit in it, and you see the whole drawer like as a piece of furniture. You see all the joinery.
Yeah.
So it's all open. It's like one big piece of furniture.
I remember Dan from Bricolage did a similar kitchen like that where it was all exposed. Yeah, it was beautiful.
Yeah, and so they want that joinery exposed, and so my issue is my plan was always to use my Panto router, which does an awesome job at finger jointing boxes, but there's 3 heights of drawers, and only one of those heights will fit on the Panto router, kind of start to finish. Some of my drawers are 300 tall, and I can't continuously cut finger joints on that wide. So I was thinking, well, maybe I do something on the table saw and I set up a jig like everyone does
with the router table,
or the router table. So I'm like,
router table's hard work for finger joints.
Yeah,
I always find like it just puts so much strain on the bit, and it heats up so quickly. Like if you're doing a whole kitchen on it, you're going to go through router bits, or you're going to end up with burnt. Or actually, what happens is it rides up on the jig, and then you don't get a perfectly square finger.
So
like the way to do it is table saw if you don't have the Panther router. But I was going to ask you, panel saw novice here. You can put dado stacks on any panel saw, right?
I can on my one.
You
yeah.
can. Yeah.
Yeah. And I've got a 6.25 mil blade for grooving.
Okay. All right.
And so I was going to use that for the finger joints, which I could do. I could do that, and it would be it would work. I would still have to make a sled, which is a bit of a pain on a sliding table.
Yeah.
Because once you get halfway through, then that panel's got to sit on something. So I have to work that out. But then I was thinking, well, I really like dovetails when they're not fully symmetrical. I don't like dovetails when they're machine cut and they're exactly one after another perfect. But dovetails look really nice when you can space them out and do something nice. And I can do that with the Panto router. And I'm just thinking, if I'm smart enough, I can...
I like the way you're looking. Are you looking over at it?
I'm looking over.
Are we figuring this out as we're going?
Yeah. This is real time figuring out.
He's giving it the eyes across the room.
Yeah, I think I could set up these wider drawers. So I set the Panto router up and only cut from the edge to center, and then flip the panel over and go edge for center, and then I end up with symmetrical dovetails on my wider drawers, and I think that might look quite nice. And I've never cut dovetails with the Panto router. I know it does it, and I've got the jigs and stuff for it. I just have never set it up, so I might have to play with that.
And you wouldn't do hand cut dovetails?
Shit, no.
I know I wouldn't, but
that's 23 times 4 corners. Like no way.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, cool.
That would get not fun. So yeah, I've got stuff to do, and my kitchen, which I made a while back, which was the wrong color, and then nothing happened to it for a long time, and then it was the right color. That's going in next week, so fingers crossed they like it.
So is this the one from a few months back where it got put on hold and you had to
do nothing for a month?
Do nothing, yeah. Okay, all right, cool. Oh, that's a good follow-up.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see if how happy everyone is after that, after next week.
You're
going to say, Brian?
No, I that felt like a lot longer than a month ago. I thought that was several months ago.
I started it on the 1st of April.
Right, okay.
And it was meant to go in mid-May.
Okay. So yeah, a couple of months it's just been sitting in the shipping container? Or in your workshop?
Yeah.
Shipping container?
No, it's in the container. And hopefully it still looks like it should.
Just bananas everywhere.
Oh, God, I'm a little bit cautious about that. Yep.
Joey, do you get frosts where you are in wintertime or not?
Occasionally, but it's been a very warm winter.
Right, okay. Yeah, I was just going to wonder what it's like in the shipping container with like the condensation after a frost's melting.
I don't even need a frost. I just need cold. Anything down around 5 or 7 degrees, which we are having, and there's condensation in there. And I have noticed taking some panels apart in previous jobs that there's moisture in there. Just depends how it sits in the container sometimes.
Yeah.
But surely that will air dry very quick once it gets some air onto it.
I think so.
I mean, if there's water pooling on something, it could stain it and damage it. But I've noticed in my workshop in the mornings we've had a very nice winter here as well, but the evenings are crisp. Like we had feels like I don't know, -5 or something the other night. So the insulation under the roof sheeting catches all the drips, but where I've got the laser light, the skylight panels, I get little drips, drip. So I've now had to move my workshops, move my workbenches, and move my bandsaw. I'd spent a whole load of time just refinishing my bandsaw, and I came in the next day, and there's a big pile of rust on it. I was like, "What?" Put 2 and 2 together. I was just wondering if you had the same thing in the shipping container, but
I do. But thinking about it, all of my finished panels, everything is wrapped up in moving blankets.
Yeah.
And so effectively they're insulated. And so it's only like the carcasses, which if they're pushed against the steel walls, that's when they might start picking up some moisture. But
Bryan, is your insulation? So when you say insulation, are you talking about the foil or the wool?
It's like a bubble. I don't know how thick it is, maybe 5 mil thick or something like that.
Yeah.
So that covers the entire roof walls, but then not where the laser lights are. Obviously, it stops. So the frost that forms on top then causes condensation on the bottom.
So the dripping that you're getting is from the room side, not the roof side. It's not on the top side of the insulation.
It would be. No.
I'm just wondering if that's doing damage long term to the insulation.
No. Okay. Well, what happened? Like the shed's dark grey as well, so even on a winter's day, the steel doesn't feel cold. So there's There's obviously condensation in there, but it will heat up and burn off.
When I got my jointer, actually no, that was 23. I got my jointer, and then later that year we got a new puppy who was just terrible with toilet training, and now we've got floorboards. I would come down and there would be pea puddles.
Oh my God.
With rust on my steel. And my goodness, I had to dig deep to love that dog because it was, not only was it rusty, but it stank of pea. That was hard times. So now my tools, or my particularly my jointer, just have these little dark stained spots.
Lovely reminder, Robin.
Lovely reminder.
Speaking of your tools, Robin, I saw some issue with your bandsaw. And I saw something on the video, but I thought I'd wait and hear what you had discovered.
So I don't know if this is all bandsaws, but certainly my Carbotech bandsaw, which is probably made in the factory along with every other bandsaw that everyone's got in their workshop. At the back, you've got a tightening mechanism. So you can pull this lever arm, bonk, and it lifts up the top wheel and loosens it instantly. It doesn't loosen it enough for a blade change. You still got to do the little turn wheel underneath to loosen it all the way, but I guess that's what it's there for.
Yeah.
That mechanism has inside there is a little grub screw, which I just had to figure this out because this isn't in the manual. I even asked ChatGPT, couldn't help me out. I just had to figure it out by going in and tearing it apart. There's a little grub screw, which I assume stops you from over tightening the wheels. So you can only tighten your bandsaw blade to a certain point and then it will stop. Now, what I had noticed is over the years, that grub screw has slowly but surely been winding down. So I've been tightening my bandsaw, but I've been bottoming out on that grub screw.
Right. Okay.
And so I did a blade change and I was like, what's going on? This blade is vibrating left to right. Oh, have I like bent something? What have I done? It's because it just wasn't tightened up enough.
No tension. So
I had to get in there, undo that grub screw, and then could get it in. With that in mind, I then busted 2 bandsaws blades because the reason that initially I was doing the change is I fed a piece of timber in. There's a problem. Pull the timber back out. But because the blade's wobbling, all I've done is ripped it down, pulled the blade straight off the wheels. So someone said to me that will almost certainly just mess up the set of the teeth.
Yeah.
Is that something that when you take a blade in to get resharpened, can they fix the set of the teeth, or are they just sharpening it?
They could, I guess, if you ask them to, but to be honest, I've never heard of anybody sharpening a bandsaw blade, but that I could be stupid.
Yeah, I know you've talked about in the past how you use it as consumables. You just get a new one all the time.
Unless it's a carbide tooth thingy, like a good ripper or something, which is worth a few $100. But I don't even think you can sharpen that.
Well, my bandsaw blades that I get, so I've just been buying them from Carbotech. I'm sure I could get them made locally, but I've just been buying them. Because of the length of them, 3,080 millimeters, they don't seem to be very popular. It's not a very popular length. They've recently almost doubled in price. So I am trying to, they're still.
How much are you buying a blade for out of curiosity?
$70 for,
okay.
It's quite a big blade. It's a 20 mil wide blade. So it's quite a big one.
Okay, that is big.
But
so
that dropped down to 13 mil because they are $40.
Right. Okay.
It was in I swear it was in the last 6 months. It just doubled in price, and it's just that blade. The 13 mil blades are $40, which is what I've always paid.
I would recommend
you've got a wider blade for less.
No, the 20 mil blade is $70, and then the 13 mil.
Oh, 13. Sorry, I thought you said
$40 or $50.
30. I thought you said 30. Okay.
Oh no, no, 13.
Because I just bought 3 blades to rip all this oak for my drawer boxes. I paid like $22 each or something. Just custom made, and I think you could probably find a saw doctor or blade merchant.
Maybe I'll do that.
Who will just, because they buy it in like 5-kilometer rolls, and then they just cut it and weld it to the size you want.
So I've taken one of these bandsaw blades to a local fabricator here, the saw doctor or something. I think they're actually called Blade Tech or something, and they sharpen it up for me. So I didn't realize they can actually make them as well.
Yeah, and that's how, you can buy, most metalworking bandsaws have a little, in the old days, they had a little welder attached to the side of your bandsaw, and you just buy in the whole roll of saw blade material and just weld one up whenever you need a new one and chuck it on the machine.
Right, okay.
Because the reason I'm iffy about sharpening them is I've never got through the life of a blade and not have the weld break, because that's the weakest point. And so by the time you get it out and take it to the sharpener and put it back on, that's where it's going to fail. And you can almost hear it coming a few days before it breaks. You can start hearing a duk, 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 something starting to stretch. And that's the weld just starting to let go. Yeah, because it doesn't curve.
And I don't know if it's the way my bandsaw is designed, but the way you get the blade in and out is so awkward. You're bending it and twisting it and banging the teeth you're stuffing up the blade before it even gets to its first cut.
I agree. And you said about the set of the saw before, and I just wanted to, I think I saw this on your video, but it was a story and it's gone and I can't, whatever. And your blade was loosey-goosey, and so it might not be this, but it looked like your blade, you had your guide bearings were covering your teeth of the saw.
No, just back from it.
Yeah, so that's what I was just going to say. That's going to smash the set of your teeth. Having the teeth run through between the bearings is just going to close them up and smash the sharpness off them. So you want the bearings to be back at the gullet, not on the tooth, and then you'll be good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've actually, and this is maybe a bit of advice for anyone with a 14, I think mine's 14-inch bandsaw. I've run with a 19 or 20 mil blade for ages, but I'm actually finding with the 13 mil, it's just better. It's a better option because you don't have to worry about the tension as much because the frame can handle that thinner blade. And the main reason I use it is I hardly ever do curves. So I'm either ripping timber down or I'm resawing.
Yeah.
And that 13 mil blade resawed beautifully. You know, it's got a much higher teeth count, but it still did the job on that teak that I was working with. Did it perfect.
Well, like I said, this morning, I just ripped 120 meters of 200 mil deep oak. I resawed it with one 12 mil blade. Cost me $27 or whatever.
Yeah.
Like those blades just go and then they explode and you put a new one on and it's another 20 something bucks.
Yeah.
It's pretty reasonable.
I was watching one of Macramona's videos as part of all this bandsaw debacle, and I picked up a good tip from him. When you get do your bandsaws come rolled up in like a ball, basically?
Yeah.
Out into the backyard and just chuck it, doing, and it comes out, and then you're ready to put it on.
Yeah, I hate trying to do it slowly. Yeah.
Yep. I cut myself a few years ago so badly on the arm just because, as it popped, it just shredded my forearm. Yeah, never doing that.
The worst thing about letting those bandsaw blades go, and it could be my awful technique, every now and then they'll unwind and be backwards.
Inside out. That happened to me for the first time.
And then you've got to like play fucking Tetris and try and get it back the right way without kinking it and stuff. And it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, that's funny. While I'm talking about my stuff, was it the last episode or the episode before we were talking about glass?
Yeah.
For my timber and glass display cabinet. The same company that I got the original quote from, I've now got an updated quote. So I'm just looking at it now on screen, just to give everyone an idea of the price difference that we were talking about, because you guys said, putting in 10 mil thick, toughened glass is a waste of money. If we look at, for example, a 1.2 by 1.4 meter sheet of glass, if you go 10 mil, it's $380. If you go 6 mil, it's $216. So, it's not a huge drop, but
not a third.
It is a significant. Where I've really noticed it is with the shelves that are going to be made of glass. You guys were talking about doing a center point across the span, and how that's going to make you can shrink the glass down by putting in a center span. If I was to do, say, a 12 mil shelf that goes all the way across to take that load, one shelf would be $130. If I drop the 12 mil glass down to 4 mil with that center point, we're then looking at $48. So, they're, again, halving, almost a third of the price, just on the design. So, yeah.
It's pretty good glass prices.
Yeah, 1.2 by 1.4, 10 mil, toughened glass, polished edge.
Polished, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
$380. Yeah. It's really not, glass is not expensive like I thought it was going to be.
No, it often isn't until you start doing curvy stuff. But yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Good for you then. That's good.
Yeah, I will just, I'll share my screen quickly, and we won't spend too long on this because I appreciate that not all of our listeners are on YouTube, but I just thought I would pull up the drawing, and this is now the final drawing after all the back and forth that we've done over the weeks on this. This is going to be the final drawing or design of the glass cabinet. So you guys can see that?
Yep.
So again, going back to that, the shelves being a bit thinner glass, so that's 4 mil glass. One of the things that I considered was if I just did one big sheet of glass in the front and then spanned that shelf from side to side, I could have gone that route. But the price then basically triples on the glass, whereas doing this allows you to where you've got these two front panels can now be thinner glass. I think I've got them in as 4 mil, and then it's 4 mil on the shelves.
I prefer the two vertical rectangles to look at.
Definitely.
Than if you didn't have the central divider, you'd have more of a horizontal rectangle, which is kind of squat and it doesn't look as nice.
Yeah, okay.
One thing I was going to ask, Robin, was the operable panel on the side instead of accessing it from the front. Was that your decision or the client's decision?
Client's decision. I'm not sure why they want that. They have one of these display cabinets in their house already with that design. To be fair, I didn't challenge them on it either. Maybe I could have, but yeah, that was something they came to me with.
I didn't even think about that.
Getting things in and out of the cabinet and cleaning it, and dusting it, and all that kind of stuff would be.
Yeah, where can you put it? You can't put it in a corner, right?
I literally got a tape measure out against one of my walls to measure this width. How far could I get my arm in to see if they're actually going to be able to access those sensor bits? Because Joey, you and I talked about this the other day, trying to stop any front to back racking. You can see I've put in this piece here, which we discussed, this rail. Bryan, you mentioned putting in this vertical piece on the corner. So between those, that's going to stop the racking. But I've decided I made this as small as possible. I think that's 40 mil because, the wider it gets, the more it actually interferes with you being able to get into the side of the cabinet.
But also, if you keep it, say if the front panel is 60 and the side is 40 on that corner and the timber thickness is 20, then you have a square looking corner, not a offset.
But what I don't like is the fact that you've got the 60 mil corner here on the front side, but then on the back side, there's nothing. But again, that's because I don't want to make this opening any smaller. And these hinges will support this back piece. So, that's quite a thin piece. My thinking is that those hinges will stop this back piece from bending like this one's doing.
Interesting little detail.
I would say just probably leave yourself enough clearance around the door panel in case it does move by, a millimeter or 2 millimeters or something like that. Make that I don't know. So you probably wouldn't want to go wider than 3 mil.
Yeah.
Maybe 3.5 mil or something like that, just to give yourself a bit of tolerance in it.
Which bit are you talking about?
The gap, the hinge gap.
There.
Yeah, the hinge gap at both edges of that panel, Robin. The operable one,
and this one.
So to the opening, it's maybe 7 mil undersized, so 3.5 mil either side. If you tried to do a 2 mil gap on that edge, and then you get a little bit of racking or twisting in it, it could contact the bottom, contact the top, and then you have to take the door off and trim the door, which is probably what you should do. Actually, probably build it to reasonably tight and then work backwards.
But it's funny you mentioned that. I've just finished a new video where I mentioned this as part of the video. Let me actually stop sharing this for a sec. With those T cabinets that I just built, what was the context? I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. It was something to do with the tolerances. Oh my goodness, I just can't remember. Anyway, it's going to be in the video later this week. But it's basically around. Oh, that's right. On those cabinets, there's 2 side panels, right? So the box is a cabinet with 2 side panels, and I'm cutting those panels on my track saw. So unlike you guys with the table saw, my repeatability it's terrible because I'm moving my fence every time I make a cut. But with something like those. I think in the video I talk about a medium-sized piece of furniture. When you're moving that piece or when you're placing that piece down, there's always going to be some degree of flex in your furniture. So if your piece needs to be perfect, like to a 0.5 millimeter perfect for it to function or to look good, in terms of those tolerances, then in my opinion, you haven't really designed a good piece, because I don't know what that client's going to do. he might go put it on a wonky floor. So with that in mind, with those two side panels, for example, that I'm cutting that need to be the same size, if they're not exactly the same size, it doesn't matter. It still works. The piece of furniture still works. So while, yes, I'd love to have, be able to cut identical side panels, I'm not going to stress too much about it, because if that's what I'm worried about, then clearly my design has bigger issues.
Yeah,
agreed.
I
seeing.
agree to a certain.
Robin, have you
go,
thought about
Brian.
in terms of like if you are not going to buy a table saw and you're going to stick with a track saw for a while, have you thought about making a kind of a DIY, the Festool MFT tables, where it's got like a rail built into the side and your track flops down and you've got a series of stops and you know that the track's going to fall square. You can clamp, like you maybe got a little fence on it or something. You can clamp stop blocks on it. Would you consider making something like that? Like even turning your workbench into something like that? Or would you not use it enough?
I don't think I'd use it very much. I don't think I'd use it very much. And I would question my ability to make that any more accurate, because there's so many moving parts in it. Yes, it's.
I think you can buy the hardware that slots into depending on what kind of track you've got. I think that hinged hardware thing, and then it would just sit in an aluminium, I don't know, some kind of extrusion. So I don't think that it would actually be that hard. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe something worth looking at.
Yeah, Robin, in that particular case, you're talking about solid timber, the teak. Yeah. So, like traditionally, I guess if you thought about it, how they would have done it, ye olde time.
Yep.
They would have cut it with the handsaw, and then probably put both pieces together and just shoot them down or plane them down till they're both planing together, right? Like if you're jointing a couple of boards, put them together in the vise, plane them, glue them together. So that is another option, is that you can get as close as you can with the and I agree that aiming for micron precision, I think, is a fruitless endeavor to a certain degree. If you're doing marquetry, you probably want to be as close as you can. But in saying that, if you actually see how most marquetry is done, and there's always the saw curve that can't be filled in. I don't actually know how they deal with that. Brian, have you got, I haven't done a deep dive in marquetry, but from what I understand, you put all your layers of veneer together in the different colors that you want, and then you cut out your picture with a coping saw, and then you take the different shapes that make up your picture in the different colors and you put it together. But there is a kerf issue where you have removed timber somewhere, and is that just kind of smushed together when you?
Sure. I haven't really done any marquetry, but yeah, it's the width of the blade of the coping saw,
and it's a tiny little coping saw. Granted, it's minuscule,
but it does have to be properly tight.
So I don't know if they just do sawdust and glue on that kind of stuff and get it all looking like that. It'd be an interesting, I'm showing my ignorance to a certain degree here, because I don't know how they actually get those to look dead tight. And even if they are dead tight, because usually when you see these things, you're kind of at a viewing distance, you're not at a maker's distance. And so there's a certain degree of this age-old question, like good enough, is something good enough? Like from what perspective? From a perspective of the maker or the use case or the end result or the client's expectations versus what they're paying for, versus like there's just a whole lot of things that come together to make up quote unquote good enough. And I think we would probably all agree that every job can't be your best work because of all of those considerations we just talked about. Someone might come to you, like Brian, I think the other week you said something about making like grandma's pot plant stand or whatever for like $40 or something. Like, you're not going to put your blood, sweat, and tears into that. You're going to make it functional, and grandma's going to love it, but it's not going to be something you're going to put on display. And so there's like these tiers of perfection, tiers of your craft, that I think every job, certainly for me, every job that comes through, you get a sense of what the client's after, and you start like trying to find that position of like, what's going to guide my labor rate, not necessarily my labor rate, but how many hours should I allow to build this thing, knowing what I know about the client and what they want, and trying to find this happy place where everyone's going to be happy with the result, as opposed to, should I make everything museum quality, even if it's grandma's pot plant stand?
Yeah,
Amen.
that's I think it's such a good, and just to clarify, I'm not saying what I was saying earlier. I'm not saying don't care about perfection, but choose your. This is exactly what you're saying, Joey. Choose where you put that energy and where you put that effort. Because otherwise, and I think unfortunately for us in our industry, that level that you're working towards is financially driven. You know, how much are you like? I'm going to work to the best of my ability, but I'm also very conscious of how much money you're giving me, and I've got to fit in a certain amount of time.
It's a huge, and Bryan, you've just put yourself into the hardest position in the world by being a judge for the Maker of the Year competition. And this is something I struggle with all the time, and that you have people like me who make stuff not as art, but as somebody's functional, practical piece of furniture, whatever they want. And then you have makers, a lot of whom have won the Maker of the Year competition for making what is essentially a piece of art. And personally, I don't qualify some of those as furniture because they're not practical. And while I recognize the skill and the awesomeness that they've created, it's completely different to an artist who has somehow funded their time to spend time working on a piece of art versus a maker of furniture as a commission. There's such different perspectives coming together to look at the same object, and how you judge one from the other is like an impossible task.
Isn't it, Bryan? Isn't it an impossible task?
Yeah, it is. It is. I don't know. I suppose when I used to tutor at uni, when I used to tutor architecture at uni, a lot of those same arguments, you know, some students would design amazing theoretical things that couldn't possibly be built without major changes to them, and others would do fairly safe designs but beautifully detailed and things like that. So I've always been in that field of form, function, practicality, all that kind of stuff. I suppose the thing that makes the judging a furniture making contest or awards is that they're all physical pieces. Like none of them are theoretical. Like they've all been made. So you're judging on the quality of the making, the aesthetic of the piece, the practicality. Like all these things go into making it up. Like it's, you know, if we're looking at the old Banksia chair, we all love that and appreciate that. Yeah. I don't know if you can sit on it. I still think it's a really, really great piece of furniture. So it might lose some marks in terms of the practicality of the piece if it's a stool and you can't sit on it. But what it loses in marks there, it gains huge marks in ingenuity and sustainability and all these extra things. So it's just, that's the way I would judge it. I wouldn't look at one particular thing, but I like to see new ideas as well. That's always exciting to me. So we'll see. It's a few months away. got a lot to get.
Yeah,
my
I
head around
love.
before then.
Yeah, actually, I was going to ask you: Do you have to have your head in the sand for the next year so you don't see the constant flow of Instagram updates? Because that way
No.
you would see some art for longer than others.
They're all submitted to us as individual submissions anyway, and then we shortlist them. I think.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember that when I did the VCE Maker of the Year, probably around COVID, and we saw every single project. So I don't know, it was probably 200 submissions or something like that. So you kind of break them down into a stack. You take your high projects, your mid projects, and your low projects, and then you go back and look at the highs and the mids and work out where's the divide between them. Then you're putting them into shortlist piles. I compare my shortlist at the time that was with one other judge. I compare my shortlist pile with her shortlist pile, and then we sort of went back and forth. And the actual winners in that, we in each category, I think we agreed on pretty much from the start. But it was trying to work out who else was getting accommodations and things like that.
Right.
I'm very excited about it. It's gonna be fun. But yeah, a lot of stuff to get through before then. I think I was telling you guys before the show, I start my teaching job this week, 2 more days, which is going to be a whole new world. I had the orientation last week and got to have a look around the workshops, which are brilliant workshops, massive. Like, there's a lot of students, but they're big workshops, good bench space, 2 different machining rooms, which students aren't allowed into, but there's a full-time technician that does all their cutting. So they're effectively doing the design and assembly, which is sort of how a lot of the school system works. Just they're not allowed onto machinery.
You don't have to be
use power tools.
But you don't have to be whisked away to do cutting and while everyone else is waiting for advice from you. So there's another person who's just cutting wood.
Yeah, a full-time technician supports all the, years 7 to 10 woodwork and
that's
VCE
pretty cool.
Product design. Yeah. And there's panel saw.
So how old are the kids? What is
my
year
classes
7 to 10?
are year 7 to 10. Year 7's like 12 years old and up. 12 to 16, probably in that bracket. So year 7 to, gotta get my head around this. Year 7 to 8, it's in every student's curriculum. And then years 9 and 10, they start to pick it as an elective subject. So I'm going to be doing, from the start, 2 year 7 classes in metalwork, a year 8 class in woodwork, and 2 year 10 classes in woodwork. So it's interesting to look at the projects. So, it's a fairly set list of projects that you're working the students through, like especially at an entry level secondary age, and just trying to get them familiar with machines and not cut off any fingers,
processes,
or not machines, but power tools. But yeah, it was fascinating. I watched this video on the history of the school. It's quite an old school, and it was a boys' school and a girls' school that amalgamated in the 90s. But when it was a technical college for boys, the standard of woodwork that they were doing, oh my goodness, it's a sign of the times, I reckon. But doing steam bent canoes, doing billiard tables, stuff like that. And then you look at what we're expecting of students now is so much lower, but it's lower for a whole host of reasons that are out of your control. And it's how do you make that lower stakes thing exciting for kids and get them engaged in woodwork that's my challenge, I suppose.
I remember seeing pictures at my school of like these big grand woodworking projects and thinking, who did that and when and where the hell, when do we get a chance to make something like that? It never happened. And it was just like, it's funny. Like it seems either a generational thing or like some weird circumstance happens one time and this one kid got to make this awesome thing and the school puts it up on display.
This is what you could be doing, but you never will.
For the school. It's made me think about it more. Like insurance issues are only going to get harder when you've got kids working with machinery and tools and stuff like that. So I don't know. I've done a lot of reflecting on the kind of the furniture studio that I did at Melbourne Uni and how that can't really be replicated. But there's elements of the X Lab program that that Adam Markowitz was part of. There's elements of that you definitely could do with high school students, because a lot of it is dealing with fairly taking low tech ideas, like mundane materials, and turning them into something cool. Like, I think there's a lot of excitement in that area, rather than teaching students, how to cut finger joints on a panel saw, because they're never going to get to do it. So yeah, I don't know.
And
we'll see how it goes.
The metalworking side of things, is it quite? Because that's, I mean, I know you've got a basic idea of it.
Yep. I'd be pretty confident with a lot of the, like, it's not welding or anything at that level. It's just dealing with aluminium and tin and folding and cutting and riveting and all that kind of stuff.
Rivets and spot. We had a spot welder. Are the kids allowed to use spot welders?
So I don't think there's a spot welder in this workshop. I'll find out in 2 days. But at the high school that I did my placement at, there was a spot welder that year 9s, year 8s were using it.
Yeah, that's cool, because you can make a little
safe.
Yeah, you make a little toolbox thing, and
yeah,
awesome.
There you go. Yeah. So it's gonna be full on, but it's gonna be very exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's very cool.
From the bags under my eyes, like trying to study, work, and get ready for school has been a lot. And bloody World Cup games. I'm so happy the World Cup's over. So congratulations to our English listeners on their bronze medal. It was delightful. As I said with a hint of sarcasm, but yeah. So yes, I'm looking forward to getting into a regular sleep pattern and starting to get stuck into this new career.
Awesome. Well, it's going to be. It sounds like it's going to be great.
Yeah, I reckon. Cool. All right, let's leave it there because we're at time. And thanks again to everyone listening. Just a reminder that if you want to donate to the show, there is a link somewhere in the show notes. All the money does stay within the show, so I appreciate all the existing donors. And we'll catch up again in a couple of weeks.
Awesome. See you guys.
See ya.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.